Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna be giving my NFL DraftKings picks for Week 11. I did upload 2 NFL videos for this week. I uploaded a first look at the slate. I did that on Monday, recorded that on Monday, and put that up on Monday. And today, on Thursday night, I'm recording my actual video where I go through and highlight the players that I'm gonna be looking to target. I decided not to do my picks video on Monday because a lot of things changed from Monday to Sunday. And it's hard to say, like, these are the guys that I'm going to be playing when it's only Monday. You can't really say that you're going to be playing these guys because things will change. So I've decided I'm going to record a first looks at the slate. I'm going to record those every Monday. Make sure you check those out. Those will just be videos where I go through the positions and look at guys that stand out to me. And then on Thursday, which is the video you're watching today, every Thursday I'm going to do my actual picks where I hit on guys that I'm actually going to be putting into my own lineups on Sunday. Going to go through each position and hit on about 4 or 5 guys at each position that I'm looking to target. If there are studs that I like, I'll be sure to touch on those. If there are value plays I like at a certain position, we'll be sure to touch on those as well. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get started today looking at this Week 11 slate at quarterback. Alright, so up top at quarterback this week, we've got Tom Brady. He's going up against Oakland. I never like to pay up for quarterback, especially not in cash games. I do play a lot of cash games, not really a tournament player. For cash games, I always like to go cheap, so I'm probably not going to be paying up for Brady, at least not in cash. Now, for tournaments, obviously Brady's probably one of the best plays on the board. This game is going to be played in Mexico City. It's not going to be played in Oakland. So it's kind of a road game for both teams. So if you want to pay up for Brady, I think he's definitely in play. Oakland hasn't been that good defensively this year. So I think Brady's definitely in play. Drew Brees is one guy I'm sort of iffy about. He is at home, where we know Drew Brees has played well at home just throughout his career. But Drew Brees has not been the Drew Brees we've seen just in past years. He's only had a couple games, 2 or 3 games, with over 20 DraftKings points. And even at home this year, he hasn't done that much. He hasn't really done much at home or on the road. But at home, through 4 games at home this year, Brees has only averaged 17 DraftKings points. So definitely, the running backs have been doing a lot of the work for the Saints this year, and their defense has also been doing a lot of work as well. This is a really nice price tag on Brees, especially when he is playing at home. I think I'd prefer, if you're going to pay up to quarterback, just to find the extra salary and get up to Brady, because we haven't really seen Drew Brees flash much upside this year. Hasn't really had a single game over 25 DK points, I believe. Maybe he had 1 game. But other than that, the running backs and defense have been doing a lot of the work for the Saints. So I think if I'm going to pay up that much for a quarterback, I'll probably just go up to Brady for a little bit more. Drew Brees just hasn't shown enough for me to where I want to roster him. So I don't think I'm going to be on him. Some quarterbacks I do like in this mid-tier. Really like Derek Carr. He was a guy that stood out to me on Monday. Definitely think I'm going to be targeting him here come Sunday. Like I said, this game is being played in Mexico City, so it's not a home game for Carr. But I still like him in this spot. The Patriots, especially the quarterbacks, they've given up a ton of quarterbacks, or a ton of quarterbacks have gone for over 300 yards against the Patriots. Also, a ton of quarterbacks have had multiple touchdown games against the Patriots this year. So I think it's a really good spot for Derek Carr. Really nice price tag on him as well at just $6,400. If I do look to go to this mid-tier at quarterback, I think Carr is going to be the guy I target. He's definitely one of my favorite options in that price range. If you want to go a little bit cheaper, I think Kirk Cousins in a possible shootout could be in play at $6,100. But like I said, the Saints defense has been playing really well this year. Cousins, we know, going to throw the ball a ton. Washington really doesn't have much of a run game. Cousins is probably going to throw the ball at least 40 times in this game, especially if they're playing from behind. So I think if you want to go to him, he might have more upside than Derek Carr does. But I definitely like Derek Carr here at $6,400. Him and Kirk Cousins in that mid-tier would be the 2 guys I would target. And then if I'm going to pay to the top, I'm just going to go up to Brady. In the mid-tier, I would target Carr and Cousins. And then looking for some value plays that we can target, maybe 6K and under. These are more of your cash game plays, so you can fit in the studs at other positions. I talked about him on Monday, but Blake Bortles might be the cash quarterback this week at $5,200 going up against the Browns. When you think of the Browns' defense, you obviously think of a bad defense overall. But they've actually been pretty good defensively against the run, so this could be a spot where Leonard Fournette might struggle a bit. I think Bortles is going to have to throw the ball in this game. And although he's not the most attractive option, he is just $5,200. For cash games, you usually want about 3x salary in NFL, so if he gets us 15, 16 DK points, that's hitting value in cash games. I think Bortles can definitely get there against the Browns, who have been atrocious. Their pass defense has been atrocious. Their run defense has actually been really good. So like I said, I like Bortles here. Probably not going to be on Fournette. I think there are other running backs I'd rather pay up for. So if I'm going cheap this week, I'm going to Blake Bortles. I think I'd prefer him over Fitzpatrick. I'd prefer him over Case Keenum. If you're going to go that cheap, he would be the guy to target. And I think that's pretty much it for all the cheap quarterbacks. Those are some guys I have my eye on. Nathan Peterman is going to be making the start for Buffalo this week. He is very cheap at just $4,700. But the Chargers actually have a pretty solid pass defense, so I think I'm going to shy away from Peterman here, even though he is really cheap and he is going to be starting for the Bills. Tyrod Taylor did get benched. That is news that I didn't have on Monday, so definitely like to make the updated videos because I thought Tyrod was going to start on Monday, but we get news throughout the week. Things will change. Peterman's going to be starting for the Bills, but I don't think I'm going to go to him. If I'm going cheap at quarterback this week, it's probably going to be with Blake Bortles, maybe Jay Cutler. I think I prefer Bortles for 200 less, but Jay Cutler playing at home against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defense has not been good this year, so I think Cutler, Bortles will probably be the two guys I go to for cheap. In this mid-tier, Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins would be the two guys I target here. And then if I'm just going to pay up, I'm just going to go to the top and go up to Brady going up against Oakland. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing for quarterback this week. Those are some guys I have my eye on. Let's go ahead and move on to running back. All right, so at running back, we got plenty of options here to pay up for. I think there is one guy that I definitely want here, maybe two guys. First off, Mark Ingram going up against Washington. Mark Ingram, really high price tag at $8,100. This is the most expensive price tag he's had in a very long time. But Ingram's workload has just been insane with Adrian Peterson gone. He's pretty much been the workhorse back. Kamara is still involved, obviously. Kamara's been playing very well as well. But Ingram's the starting back. He's the workhorse back. He's a guy you can definitely pay up for. He had 21 rushing attempts in their last game, last week against Buffalo, 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. If the Saints get a lead on Washington, they're probably going to run the ball, give Mark Ingram plenty of touches. So if you want to pay up for him, I think he's definitely in play. I think I'd probably prefer Kareem Hunt, though, at $8K, just 100 less, going up against the Giants. The Giants have just been atrocious defensively this year. Kareem Hunt definitely has not seen the workload that we want him to see. If you just look at his last 4 games, 9, 18, 22, and 9 rushing attempts, the workload's been really inconsistent. Still involved in the passing game, though, 6, 4, 5, and 5 targets in his last 4 games. But obviously the regression has hit him. He's not the same guy he was at the beginning of the year. He was just having monster games in the beginning of the year, 49 against the Patriots, 25 against Philadelphia, 28 against the Chargers. And now he's sort of come back down to earth with 16, 15, 9, and 10 DraftKings points in his last 4 games. I think this is definitely a bounce-back spot where Kareem Hunt could get 20+. We know the Giants have really struggled defensively this year, so I think if I'm going to pay up for running back this week, it's probably going to be for Kareem Hunt. There aren't a ton of guys to pay up for just at any positions. The Steelers aren't on the main slate, so Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, we don't have them to choose from. The Falcons aren't playing, so we can't get Julio Jones. So I think Kareem Hunt's going to be the guy that I pay up for this week at $8K. If I look to fit in a stud, he's probably going to be the guy that I target. And then looking for some cheaper and mid-tier options we can target at running back. There isn't a ton of value that I really like at this position. I think this is definitely a position where you want to go to the mid-tier or just pay up to the top for guys like Kareem Hunt. Just not a ton of value that I'm in love with. I think one value play that could be an option is at $4,800, and that's Kenyon Drake going up against Tampa Bay. Drake is coming off a really nice game against the Panthers. He didn't have a heavy workload. He did bust a run in that game. He only ran the ball 7 times, got 2 targets in that game, so really only 9 touches. But he did show his big play ability. I believe he broke like a 50, 60-yard touchdown, put up 17 DraftKings points in their last game against Carolina, put up 17 again against Oakland. So in the 2 games without Jay Ajayi, Kenyon Drake he's looked really good. 17 DraftKings points in both games this year without Jay Ajayi. So if you want to go cheap, he would be the guy I'd probably target at $4,800. Definitely more of a tournament play though, because he's not a guy for cash. He doesn't have a heavy workload, but he has big playability, which is what you want for your tournaments. So if you're going to go cheap at running back, I think $4,800, Kenyon Drake would be the guy I would target. But like I said, I think it's a position you definitely want to pay up for. Go to guys like Kareem Hunt, Mark Ingram, maybe LaShawn McCoy, even though he's on the road. With Peterman starting, I doubt Peterman's going to go out there and chuck the ball like 40, 50 times. So LaShawn McCoy is probably going to see a heavy workload. So if you're going to pay up at running back, which is what I think you need to do this week, Mark Ingram, Kareem Hunt, LaShawn McCoy would probably be the guys I would target. And if you're looking to go cheap, definitely like Kenyon Drake as a value play. He's at $4,800. Good value option in my opinion. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing for running back this week, guys. There's some guys I'm going to be looking to target. Let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver. All right, so at wide receiver, up top of this position, we've got Mike Evans, $7,900 going up against the Dolphins. Obviously, a really good matchup for Mike Evans. One thing that's definitely concerning, though, is Winston's not going to be playing, so Fitzpatrick's going to be throwing the ball to Mike Evans. Obviously, we would prefer to roster Evans when Winston's going to be throwing him the ball. But given the matchup, I think Fitzpatrick will get Evans some targets here. Miami doesn't really have a good pass defense. They really don't have any good corners. They just got torched by Devin Funchess on Monday night. So if you want to pay up for Mike Evans, I definitely think he'd be the guy I would target if I'm going to pay up at wide receiver. I would probably prefer him over Michael Thomas and Adam Thielen. Just get up to Evans. If you're going to pay up, he would be the guy I would target. One guy I want to hit on, though, is a tournament play. AJ Green, just $7K, going up against Denver. We know Denver, not a team you usually want to pick on because of their defense, but their defense has actually not been as good as we've seen in the past. They have kind of struggled defensively this year. So this could be a spot where AJ Green actually puts up a solid game. We know he's going to get targets pretty much no matter who's on him. Andy Dalton really has no one else to throw the ball to. You would think Denver probably might get a lead in this game. Cincinnati probably will be playing from behind. So even in a tough matchup, I think AJ Green is $7K, really cheap price tag on him. He should see at least 5, 6, 7 targets. We know AJ Green has the big play ability. So if you want a tournament play that will probably be low owned this week and is a really cheap guy that has a ton of upside, AJ Green at $7K going up against the Broncos, I actually think it's a good tournament play this week. And then the guy that's similar to him, I hit on this guy on Monday, DeAndre Hopkins, just 6,100 going up against Arizona. Obviously a terrible matchup for DeAndre Hopkins. I believe Arizona has already come out and said that Patrick Peterson is going to be shadowing Hopkins, so he's going to be following him around. So Hopkins will be guarded by Peterson. Peterson is a very good corner, a guy I usually like to shy away from. But if you just look at Hopkins' last 3 games, he's had 11, 16, and 14 targets. In his last 2 games were with Tom Savage at quarterback. He got 16 targets with Savage at quarterback against the Colts. And in a tough matchup against the Rams, still got 14 targets in that game, 20 and 21 DraftKings points in his last 2 games with Savage as his quarterback. So I think even in a tough matchup against Patrick Peterson, they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. Will Fuller's already been ruled out for this game. So I think even in a tough matchup, Savage is going to throw the ball to Hopkins. He'll probably see close to 10 targets again. Not sure how many of those targets he catches, but if you want another tournament play that's probably going to be low owned, just 6,100, DeAndre Hopkins, even in a tough matchup, the dude's probably going to get close to 10 targets. So I think he would be a guy I would target at 6,100. Obviously, the more optimal play is to go up just 200 more and get to Sterling Shepard in a much better matchup against KC, whose pass defense has not been good lately. Shepard also gets a ton of targets as well. Him and Evan Ingram are going to be seeing probably 10-plus targets just about every game for the rest of the year, since the Giants really have no one else to throw, or Eli really has no one else to throw the ball to. So if you want a cash play in that range, I would much rather have Sterling Shepard. But for tournaments, a guy with upside would be Hopkins at 6,100. Might be low owned, but like I said, the more optimal play is just to find $200 and get up to Shepard at 6,300. But then looking for some receivers that maybe we can target for value, maybe 6K and under. There is one guy that I really like this week for value, really, really cheap as well. 4,300, Jamison Crowder going up against the Saints. Really like this spot for Jamison Crowder. He does play out of the slot, so he will be able to avoid Marcus Lattimore, who has been really good this year as a corner, has really shut down some guys. And when it comes to pass catchers, the Redskins really don't have anyone else. So I think if you want to target Jamison Crowder here, he's a really good value play. He's seen 13 and 11 targets in his last 2 games, 25 and 12 DraftKings points. Been really consistent lately. So I think if you need a value play at Jamison Crowder, Crowder might be one of the more popular plays this week. Pretty good cash play if you need to go cheap. He would be a guy I would target at 4,300. And yeah, guys, there's some wide receivers I like this week. Obviously, there are a ton of wide receivers here. I can't hit on every single player because I don't want the video to be like an hour long. So if there's a guy that you want my opinion on, just make sure you leave a comment down in the comment section. I will reply to every comment. So if you think I missed someone that's a really good option this week, just make sure you leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to reply to your comment. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for wide receiver. Those are some guys I have my eye on. Let's go ahead and move on to tight end. All right, so up top at tight end here, we've got Travis Kelce, 7,300 going up against the Giants. Obviously, Kelce, one of the best plays on the board at tight end if you can fit him in. The Giants have just been getting torched by tight ends all year. They've given up a touchdown every week to tight ends this year. You wouldn't think things are going to change here. Kelce's probably going to find the end zone. He's probably going to put up over 20 DraftKings points. So if you can fit him in, I definitely think he is worth that price tag. The upside is through the roof in this matchup. I'd actually probably prefer him over Gronk if you're going to pay up. I know that sounds crazy, but this matchup for Kelce is just pretty much the best matchup possible for a tight end. So if you're going to pay up, he would be the guy I would target, 7,300. But looking for some cheaper options, definitely like to go cheap at tight end. I think Jared Cook at 4,800 going up against the Patriots is a good tight end play. If you don't want to pay up here, you want to go a little bit cheaper. Cook's been really solid lately. Has seen a nice amount of targets as of late as well. 7, 5, and 9 targets in his last 3 games, 19, 9, and 23 DraftKings points in his last 3 games. And this is definitely a good spot going up against the Patriots, who, like I said, their pass defense hasn't been a little skeptical this year. It's been improving as of late, but I still think this is a good spot for some of these Oakland guys. It's a good spot for Derek Carr, in my opinion. So if you want to go to Jared Cook, I think he's one of the better options at tight end if you don't want to pay up to the top for Kelsey. Obviously, Kelsey's the best play if you can fit him in. If you find value plays that you like, definitely pay up for Kelsey. But if you want to go a little bit cheaper, would target Jared Cook here. Jordan Reed, right now he is questionable. If he misses this game, Vernon Davis is also going to be another guy we want to target going up against the Saints. Like I said earlier, the Redskins don't really have much of a run game, so they're going to be throwing the ball a ton. And when Jordan Reed has been out this year, Vernon Davis has pretty much been crushing every game. He saw 11 targets against Minnesota, saw 9 targets against Seattle in his last 2 games. Reed didn't play in those games. He put up 13 and 14 DraftKings points. So if Jordan Reed is out this week, Vernon Davis is going to be another guy we want to target. And if Jordan Reed is also out, that's a big boost for Jamison Crowder as well, who, like I said, I really like at value a receiver. So Vernon Davis, Jamison Crowder get big boost if Jordan Reed is out. So make sure you keep an eye on them come Sunday. Definitely guys you want to consider rostering. And then if we need a cheap tight end, there was one guy I really like here that I mentioned him on Monday. Mercedes Lewis at 2,700 going up against Cleveland. Right now he is listed as questionable, but I am expecting him to play in this game. We know Cleveland and the Giants have been 2 of the worst teams defensively when it comes to defending the tight ends. I believe the tight end has scored on both of those teams pretty much just about every week this year. Eric Ebron managed to score a touchdown on Cleveland last week, so if Eric Ebron can score on Cleveland, then I think Mercedes Lewis can. So if you need a cheap tight end this week, you want to get exposure to Jacksonville through their pass game, pairing Blake Bortles with Mercedes Lewis might actually be an option we consider, especially for cash. It's really cheap. It allows us to fit in guys like Kareem Hunt, Mike Evans, those stud plays you want to fit in cash. Going with Bortles and Lewis definitely frees up salary to do that. So if you need a cheap tight end this week, Mercedes Lewis at 2,700, if he plays, could be a really good option we target for value at tight end. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for tight end this week. I think if you're going to pay up here, just go up to Travis Kelce. Don't think I'm going to be on Evan Ingram, even though Ingram's been really good lately. At $6K price tag, I'd just rather find a little bit more, get up to Kelce. And if I'm looking to go a little bit cheaper, Jared Cook is a good play in my opinion. Vernon Davis as well, if Jordan Reed is out. And if you need a really cheap play, Mercedes Lewis at 2,700 going up against Cleveland could be a considerable option. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing for tight end this week, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to defense. All right, so at defense, up top of this position, we've got the Jaguars at 4K going up against Cleveland. Obviously, the Jaguars are the best play on the board if you can fit them in. I never like to pay up at defense. I usually like to always go cheap. But the Jaguars have so much upside in this spot going up against Cleveland. Cleveland's pretty much been the worst offense this year. They've been turning the ball over a ton. So if you want to pay up for them, I think they're definitely in play. But like I said, I always like to go a little bit cheaper at defense. So I think there are some options we can target if we are looking to go a little bit cheaper. 3,100, the Texans playing at home against Arizona could definitely be a considerable play here. Arizona has not been good offensively lately. They lost Carson Palmer, so they're definitely going to be a offense we want to attack with the opposing defense. I don't think Drew Stanton or Gabbert are very good quarterbacks, so if you want to target the Texans here playing at home, we know they have good ends like Clowney that can rush the quarterback, can get sacks, can cause turnovers. So if you want to target them at 3,100, I think they're definitely in play. The Chargers for 100 less, also an option in my opinion at 3K going up against Buffalo. Like I said earlier, Nathan Peterman's going to be starting for Buffalo, going to be making his first career start. So you would think he's probably going to be a little nervous, might turn the ball over a couple of times here. So if you want to target the Chargers playing at home, they're probably the go-to option in cash at least at this price tag. Since Peterman's making his first career start, he's probably going to be a little nervous, might turn the ball over. So the Chargers at 3K, probably the go-to option if you are looking to go cheap at defense. They would be the option I'd probably target at 3K. And then if you need one more option that's really, really cheap at 2,700, the Bears playing at home against Detroit. I think it's a good spot for the Bears. Getting Matthew Stafford on the road, out of the dome, having to go to Chicago. Or like I said in my video on Monday, it's probably going to be very cold in Chicago. Definitely going to be temperatures that Matthew Stafford really isn't used to. He's used to playing in a dome. Having to go to Soldier Field in the cold in Chicago will probably be really tough for those Detroit guys. So I definitely like this spot for the Bears. Stafford will turn the ball over. And the Bears are playing at home, which is always a plus. Always like to target defenses at home. So if you want to go for another cheap option, they would be the one I target. Maybe 3K and under, they would be the one I'd go to at 2,700. But yeah, guys, those are some defenses I like this week. That's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. If this is your first time watching a video on my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And like I said at the beginning, now with my NFL videos, I will be doing a first look video on Monday, and then I'll be releasing my full picks video on Thursday after we get news, because things are going to change from Monday to Sunday. So doing a first look video on Monday, then doing my full video on Thursday. Make sure you check both of those out when they are released. Also, one more thing, guys, make sure you follow me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, make sure you do that. Link will be down in the description. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck this week, guys. We'll see you back for next week. Peace.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, she shaking fast. Yeah, she dropping slow. What? Yeah, neck on fro. Whoa, 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 whoa.